design, and then I also worked with a student who's an aspiring teacher, and also worked with Prava, who also is a technical expert. And so what I tried to do is take the OER and then literally revamp my entire class. And so I started working with the chancellor's office, and the number one thing is just redesigning the course. We had problems when it comes to students trying to buy a textbook. They could not afford the textbook. They had problems with bottlenecks where students were saying, hey, I want to get in the class, but I can't seem to log in the particular LMS for the publisher. There were just so many problems. So as a result of students not being able to afford a $300 textbook, etc., we did the OER, and that made sense to us. So to decrease bottlenecks, it also increased student engagement. We'll see that in just a second. And then it encouraged more active learning just across the board, collaborative in terms of teacher to student interaction, student to student interaction, and student to content interaction. And it also helped me customize the materials. A lot of the materials, let me just get right here. I have a video here from an actual student. Let's see here if I can turn this on.
Can I grab it for you?
Okay, oh, it's not coming up. Maybe there's another, let's see here. Let me just take this up. It's not doing this. Can we go to your, I need to go to the other email that I sent you.
Sure.
So anyway, the students, for the most part, they just needed something that they can actually grasp their hands on. And then also I saw there was a lot of waste involved in terms of materials that I was actually giving the students in a textbook, and then what the students were actually reading.
My name is Jean Galvin. I'm a student at San Jose State. My major is in business with a concentration in human resources and a minor in psychology. I am only actually going to school part-time at the moment, so I'm also a working professional. I'm a staffing program consultant at Google, so I stay pretty busy. And this semester I'm enrolled in Dr. Easter's online marketing class. I like this class for a number of reasons. Well, first of all, the book is free, and you can't beat that, so thank you, Dr. Easter. Beyond that, I really appreciate the way the class is structured. I think it's laid out nicely. It's very user-friendly. There's no ambiguity of what's expected, and it's pretty straightforward, so I really appreciate that. I like the communication that's really encouraged in the class. Not only is there a discussion board where we need to answer questions, but we're encouraged to look at other students' responses and agree to certain.
See, I'm going to stop that right now, but you see where we're going with this whole thing. Oh, I need to get back to in my class. If you get me in my class real quick. So for the most part, the students just let me know, say, I really appreciate not having to spend that money. And it really helped the students immensely. So I'm going to take you live into my class. This is a class that I'm teaching right now. It's a marketing course. And this is live. Now, the number one thing that OER helped me do in redesigning the class is to make things simple for the students. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So in real simple terms, simple steps, students know exactly what to do as soon as they, oops, I'm going too fast here, I need to slow it down. But as soon as students get in the physical class, they have the announcements. There's step 1, step 2, step 3, what to do. I'm using ProctorU. ProctorU is an online exam proctoring process where a live person's watching the students take the exam. I'm teaching 100% online, and so the OER has helped me significantly help the students help themselves. And so with what we're doing with the OER, let me give you just a brief, I'm going to go into the syllabus so you can just see how it's set up. I do everything in little simple steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. With the OER, I'm using 3 different textbooks. And with the licensing, you see it right there, everything is licensed and students know where they're getting information. The wonderful thing is I let my students know in each of the modules which of the textbooks they will be getting information from. So there may be all 3 textbooks used in one module, and they're going to know exactly where to go for the reading and everything else. And so that is, it makes it really super easy for the students, and it also lets them know, yes, this is a legitimate source in which you're going to get this free textbook, and they love, love, love the free textbook. Now that we're into the module, my module setup very crystal clear. I love the little step thing. So there's an overview to what they're going to read. Then there's a step-by-step instruction on what they're going to get as far as the content. Right up front, they know exactly what they're going to get. The video, I physically do a video for all of my modules, and I integrate a lot of other content. So when the students see that, okay, there's an overview, there's a reading, you see right there, there's assignments right there, real super simple, and there's also additional resources that's used from the OER, etc. Students know that the modules are set up in a vertical manner, and they have to go through the trajectory of all the steps in the module to ensure successful outcomes after they have completed the task. Now, when it comes to the reading, it's like, okay, basics of marketing, what do you do with that, and where's that textbook? Students open it up right there, the basics of marketing, and then they open it right there, and then I tell them exactly how to get access to the materials, because students like to just jump to the task without going through the process. And I said, okay, what you're going to have to do is scroll down to chapter 1, and you're going to read this information, and I'm letting them know what they're about to read. So I'm just going to kind of jump in there. This is what the OER, how it's presented in my class. They will scroll to the actual textbook right here, and they're going to start reading chapter 1, and it has the learning objectives and the whole 9 yards. And so it demystifies the process for the students. The students know that by the end of whatever their reading is concerned, they know the certain outcomes that's expected. And I'm just going to show you the next step. All of this correlates with the OER, and it makes it super simple for the students. Let me just back up. The learning outcomes. Students know that first they're going to, they'll be able to do step number 1. This is the module content, 1.1. They'll be able to do all of these things for 1.1 to 1.3, etc. After they've done all of the above, then this information correlates with the CLOs are the course learning objectives. So we have the module learning objectives for the reading, then we have the course learning objectives, and everything is in complete alignment. So the student knows that after they've completed this particular module, they should be able to do all these different things. They should read the assignments, they should participate in discussions, they should watch the videos, they should take the quiz. After they've done all of this, they know that they should be able to do well in that particular module, which will deepen their understanding if they want to learn all this material. So the number one thing is that I give students every possible opportunity to learn the materials using the OER. They do not have to purchase anything. Let's see here. Going back to the modules, I'm toggling back and forth, but it's really super important to me and also for the students, and I appreciate what you're saying. There's hundreds of hours, I think hundreds of hours, that you have to spend up front. It's obvious you spend a lot of time up front preparing your class before the students actually go into the class. And then you got to keep tweaking. One thing about OERs, you have to stay on top of the latest information that's out there. There's some content that might change, and you might think, everything's good to go and my class is ready to roll, and the next thing you know, you open it up, you open up your class, and then some of that material is not available because some of the authors may be retweaking information, they may have reconfigured information or have taken it down. So you have to constantly go back and revisit what you've already set up in the past. And so basically, in a nutshell, the bottom line is that all of my modules are set up identical. Students know in Module 2, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to look at the introduction video. They're going to do this. They're going to do that, or whatever. So everything looks identical. Let me just go back briefly to Module number 1. Let's see, to my welcome. It's very important when you're going to use an OER is to let the students know who you are. I'd like to welcome you to the study of marketing. In this particular course, you're going to learn a lot of really cool things about marketing. You're going to learn that everything around you has some kinds of marketing implications. So what I like to do is welcome. Okay, so I go through that process, but then I talk about the free textbook. So that cuts out right from the very beginning, about a week before class start, I literally give students a list of all the expectations, and this is purely online, everyone. So it's so important that students know what the expectations are, what the study environment should be, what the textbooks are. Now, students think, oh boy, I don't have to pay for a textbook, but then it's like, how do you get the students to read the textbook? So engagement is so critical throughout the entire process, that student-teacher engagement, student material engagement, and then student-student engagement. So all of my modules, let me just recap, all of my modules is like step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, engagement number 1, engagement number 2, engagement number 3, and after a while, students kind of get it. They say, okay, by the time of module 2, they're experts because they have gone through module 1, which it takes a couple of weeks to get through the modules. I have only 7 modules. I give students 2 weeks total to get through the reading, to get through all the testing and the videos and everything else, and that way they can really digest the learning. Is because I give them more time on task. Unlike when I was doing this as a hybrid or in the classroom, I give them 1 week and the next week we have something else or whatever. And I realize students are working. My students are working, about 95% of them are working full time. No longer, I've been teaching for 30 years, no longer are the students come into class and that I have their full attention for the 20 minutes or the hour or 45 minutes or whatever. I'm competing with the world. We all are competing with the world. So we have to set up, whatever we use as far as OERs, we must set up our classes to ensure that engagement is going to happen no matter what. They cannot escape that engagement. And so I'm going to wrap it up just by the final slide. Can I get the final slide? I'm just going to wrap it up. It's just a challenge that I have for you and just kind of a caveat as well. The caveat would be, let's see.
The next one, the next tab over to the right.
Okay.
There we
go. Where's my?
Prison?
Yeah. Okay. So the last piece here. Okay. So the caveat, the reflection. I have found if you work with a team of people, like I was really afraid of the OER. It's like I just had to have my textbook. But it was something alluring about the OER. It's like, well, it would be so cool if I didn't have students bugging me, saying, I can't afford this textbook, or I'm not reading the textbook, or whatever. So once I jumped into the OER, we'll see you later, Monica, okay?
Yeah, sorry.
I hear you. Once we jumped into the OER, I tell you, my life has changed. I will never go back to regular paying for textbook. Everything works, and make sure the students understand technology and how it works, is because they will give you an excuse if they can't read or find the information. They'll say, well, I can't do it, therefore it's your fault. So you have to give the students every possible opportunity to ensure success by aligning everything. The readings must be aligned with the subject matter, the testing has to be aligned with the reading. The one thing about OER, I'm happy to hear that there are test banks. I have not been able to find test banks for the different books that I'm using. So I had to create my own test bank, which created a lot of other time issues or whatever it is, but the number one thing, everything is aligned. And now I can kind of sit back and watch this airplane kind of take off in nice, smooth, really smooth, to the point last semester I had to say, what's going on? I haven't heard from my students. They're not complaining. They're not talking to me. They're not asking me any questions. The course was designed so beautifully that I tell you, it just scared me because I wasn't getting any stuff from students. So for the first time in my academic career, I'm feeling like, okay, I'm onto something. It's OER, thank you for that. I really, really absolutely love it. Make necessary modifications along the way. You gotta make those adjustments. Require students to have basic, I cannot reiterate this, basic computer literacy is absolutely imperative. And then also don't be afraid just to jump out there. I just jumped out there, and to actually take a 14-week process of a classroom and then condense it into 7 weeks and then give students two weeks to do time on task for mastery learning, that was really super scary for me. But I'm glad I did it, and it's worked out lovely, and so thank you guys for the OER, and that's it, you guys. Any comments, any questions? I'm done.
Okay, I think I heard this, Marilyn, but